Welcome to Skytech-Lens. In early 2025, China abruptly suspended all imports of U.S. beef, over 150,000 tons, worth nearly $500 million. Officially, Beijing cited food safety concerns, but the timing was suspicious. The real trigger? New U.S. tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles. Instead of retaliating against American cars, China targeted agriculture, a sector both economically vital and politically sensitive. This wasn't just about beef quality, it was a calculated move in a larger geopolitical struggle. The message, economic ties can be weaponized. U.S. beef producers, who had spent years building the Chinese market, were blindsided. Exports to China had topped $1.2 billion in 2024, making the sudden halt a major blow. The event marked a shift from routine trade disputes to strategic decoupling. China's action signaled a new era where food security, supply chains, and politics are deeply intertwined. The suspension was more than a trade spat, it was the opening move in a new confrontational chapter. The U.S. now faces a world where its economic influence is being directly challenged. The fallout from China's beef ban was immediate and severe. Over $520 million in beef orders were canceled or rerouted at steep discounts, creating chaos in the supply chain. Cattle raised for China suddenly had no market, and domestic prices plummeted. The pain hit hardest in states like Texas, Kansas, and Nebraska. Ranchers faced surpluses, feed suppliers lost orders, and cold storage overflowed, triggering layoffs across rural America. U.S. market share in China's beef imports collapsed from 12% to under 6% in just months. But China didn't stop at beef. It slapped tariffs on over 700 U.S. agricultural products, from pork to soybeans. The message was clear: American farm states would feel the pressure. These moves were designed to create political pain in key U.S. regions. U.S. agricultural exports to China dropped nearly 28% in early 2025. This wasn't just a trade dispute, it was a strategic campaign to exploit America's economic vulnerabilities. Farmers and rural workers found themselves pawns in a global power struggle. The ripple effects extended far beyond the farm gate, threatening the stability of entire communities. The lesson in today's world: market access is a political weapon. American agriculture is now on the front lines of a new kind of economic warfare. As U.S. beef vanished from China, Russia seized the opportunity. Russian beef exports to China soared 300% in early 2025, thanks to prior agreements and new infrastructure. A direct railway from Russia to western China slashed delivery times and costs, giving Russian beef a major edge. Moscow pledged over $1 billion to double beef production by 2027, aiming to become China's top food supplier. Russia also ramped up exports of wheat and peas, overtaking the U.S. as China's main spring wheat source. This isn't a temporary fix, it's a structural realignment of global supply chains. The Sino-Russian partnership is built on political alignment and mutual interests. Russia's rapid pivot shows how quickly trade flows can shift when politics and economics align. The U.S. is being sidelined as Russia cements its role as China's reliable supplier. A crucial shift in the China-Russia trade boom is the move away from the U.S. dollar. Most new beef deals are settled in yuan or rubles, bypassing the traditional dominance of the dollar. In 2024, 95% of $245 billion in Sino-Russian trade used local currencies. This insulates both countries from U.S. sanctions and financial pressure. The trend is spreading. More nations are considering alternatives to the dollar. For the U.S., this erodes a key pillar of global influence. As demand for the dollar drops, so does America's leverage over global finance. The shift isn't just technical, it's a challenge to the existing financial order. A multipolar world is emerging, where Washington's grip on global commerce is loosening. For American businesses, this means higher risks and potential inflation at home. The rise of the yuan and ruble in commodity trade signals a future where U.S. economic power is no longer guaranteed. China's beef ban is part of a broader strategy, making food security a pillar of national security. Beijing is diversifying suppliers and boosting domestic production to reduce reliance on any one country. Long-term deals with Russia and Kazakhstan, backed by Belt and Road infrastructure, create a resilient food network. At home, China is investing heavily in its own agriculture, aiming for self-sufficiency. Food is now a tool of foreign policy. China rewards friendly nations and punishes adversaries. For U.S. producers, price and quality are no longer enough. Political alignment is now essential for market access. Other beef exporters like Argentina and Australia are also struggling to fill the U.S. void in China. Argentina's economic instability makes it a risky partner for Beijing. Australia faces unpredictable inspections and trade barriers, keeping the relationship fragile. These challenges make Russia the preferred supplier, politically aligned, reliable, and logistically connected. China is no longer just shopping for the best price. It wants dependable, politically compatible partners. The global beef market is now shaped by politics as much as economics. Russia's rise is a direct result of this new reality. For U.S. beef producers, re-entering China won't be easy, even if politics improve. New supply chains, logistics, and payment systems are now deeply entrenched. Chinese importers and consumers are adapting to Russian beef, making a return to U.S. products unlikely. China has also let U.S. export licenses expire, creating bureaucratic hurdles for re-entry. The biggest barrier is trust. China now sees the U.S. as an unreliable partner. Even if tensions ease, the memory of disruption lingers. China will avoid overdependence on U.S. agriculture in the future. The cost of re-entry is not just economic, it's about rebuilding trust. This process could take years, if not decades. The U.S. must face a new reality. Lost ground may be gone for good. The beef dispute is just one front in a broader global realignment. China's move targeted politically sensitive U.S. regions, but the impact ripples through the entire economy. Layoffs in transport and storage show how trade wars hurt workers far from the farm. As China builds new supply chains, demand for U.S. goods and dollars may fall, slowing growth and threatening jobs. Consumers feel the effects too. Domestic beef surpluses may lower prices briefly, but tariffs and disrupted supply chains drive up costs elsewhere. The world is shifting from efficiency to political allegiance. Supply chains are longer, prices rise, and risks multiply. No industry is immune. Shared prosperity now means shared vulnerability. The beef ban is a warning. Economic stability is no longer a given. The U.S. beef crisis signals a new era, one where free market rules are giving way to political calculations. American agriculture must diversify, seeking new markets beyond China. This means building relationships in Southeast Asia, Africa, and Latin America, and adapting to new consumer needs. The U.S. must also innovate in trade and finance, preparing for a world where the dollar isn't the only option. Ignoring these shifts risks losing influence and competitiveness. Trade is now an extension of geopolitics, demanding a coordinated national strategy. Resilience and adaptability are essential for future success. The wake-up call is clear: old assumptions no longer apply. The challenge is to adapt, innovate, and compete in a world with new rules. The future of American agriculture and its global standing depends on it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe the channel now for more updates.